Good afternoon, students. So today I will discuss about glomerulonephritis. So first is introduction of glomerulonephritis. It is the inflammation of the glomerular capillary membrane or the small blood vessel of the kidney due to streptococcal infection or some skin infection. And this can lead to reduced glomerular blood flow, leading to reduced urinary flow and retention of waste product. Next is definition of glomerulonephritis. Glomerulonephritis is a kidney condition that involves damage or inflammation of the glomeruli, and it can lead to reduced urinary flow and retention of waste product. Then next is types of glomerulonephritis. So glomerulonephritis is divided into two types, that is acute glomerulonephritis and chronic glomerulonephritis. So acute glomerulonephritis is occur suddenly after 5 to 21 days of streptococcal infection, and chronic glomerulonephritis is developed gradually over several years after the post streptococcal infection. Next is etiology and risk factors. So first one is post streptococcal infection. So post streptococcal infection of pharynx and skin infection. Pharynx like strep throat and skin infection like impetigo. Then next one is viral infection like hepatitis B, mumps, chickenpox. Then third one is heavy dose of NSAID, means non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug like ibuprofen, naproxen. Then next last one is immunodisease like SLE, that is systemic lupus erythematosus. It is a condition where our immune system mistakenly attack our healthy tissue. So next is pathophysiology of glomerulonephritis. So first is due to etiological factor, throat or skin infection may occur. Then it can lead to release of antigen substance into the circulation. Then after releasing the antigen substance, then it can lead to formation of antibody and antigen substance into the glomeruli. Then due to formation of antigen and antibody complex into the glomeruli, it can lead to inflammatory response, that is body's vital non-specific defense against injury or infection. Then after inflammatory response, it can lead to proliferation of epithelial cell lining into the glomerulus. That means increasing number of epithelial cell into the glomerulus. Then after proliferation, it can lead to leukocyte infiltration of the glomerulus. That means our immunocells like monocyte, neutrophils or T cells, that all are entering and accumulate in the glomerular filtration membrane. Then after leukocyte infiltration, it can lead to thickening of the glomerular filtration membrane. Due to thickening of the glomerular filtration membrane, it can lead to scarring and loss of glomerular filtration membrane. Glomerular scarring is known as glomerulosclerosis, and due to glomerulosclerosis and loss of function of glomerular filtration membrane, it can lead to decreased GFR, that is decreased glomerular filtration rate. Then due to decreased glomerular filtration rate, it can lead to retention of sodium and water, and due to retention of sodium and water, it can lead to edema and hypertension, and this can lead to glomerulonephritis. So next is clinical manifestation. So first one is flank pain. So flank pain is discomfort between rib and hip, discomfort or mild ache between rib and hip. Then next is foamy urine. Foamy urine means bubble or foaminess present in urine. Then next is hematuria. Hematuria means blood present in urine. Then third one is oliguria. Oliguria means small amount of urine. Then next is dysuria. Dysuria means painful or burning micturition. Then generalized body edema. Firstly, it present in periorbital area, then it several progresses to ascites and full body edema. Then next one is proteinuria, that is protein in urine. Then last one is fatigue, anorexia, vomiting and headache. That all are signs and symptoms of glomerulonephritis. The next is diagnostic evaluation. So first one is complete history taking and physical examination of skin infection, throat infection. Then second one is urine analysis for protein, leukocyte, ketones, blood, glucose, then urine culture, then blood test. Blood test, for example, ESR, erythrocyte sedimentation rate. Because after post streptococcal infection, the ESR rate is high. Then next one is CBC, complete blood count, to identify the hemoglobin level. Then third one is BUN, blood urea nitrogen. Then fifth one is renal function test. Renal function test to identify the creatinine and urea level. Then next is KUB, abdominal X-ray. KUB means kidney, ureter and bladder. So KUB to see kidney size and other abnormalities of the kidney. Then last one is renal biopsy, a small piece of tissue usually taken through a needle for microscopic examination. Next is medical management. So in medical management, first we have give antibiotic therapy. So antibiotics given to treat bacterial infection like penicillin. Then next medical management, we have to give antihypertensive given to control hypertension like captopril, then lisinopril. Then third one is diuretic therapy. Diuretic therapy given to reduce edema, example Lasix. So next is nursing management. In nursing management, we have to advise the patient for salt and fluid restriction diet, then advice to take medicine, antibiotic, antihypertensive and diuretic as per doctor prescribe, then maintain intake output every 4 to 8 hourly, then protein restriction to be given, advise the patient to adjust dietary protein intake according to proteinuria and azotemia. Then check daily body weight for monitoring of edema, then monitor vital signs, blood pressure and apical pulse. Thank you.